YouTube continues to demonetize many videos. If you like this channel, please click on my Patreon page, link in the description. Hey gamers, this is John, host of Video Games in the World. Time and again, it has been proven through science that video games are not responsible for turning people into killers. We've debunked the claims of the media, Anita Sarkeesian, Jack Thompson, and others hundreds of times about video games being responsible for violence. I've said this to many people many times, and also in some videos I've uploaded when I started this web series almost 2 years ago. To say that video games cause violence is like if you're saying that Cain bludgeoned Abel with a Nintendo Switch, as if David threw a PS4 at Goliath's head, and it's also like saying that Genghis Khan was playing Assassin's Creed and Hitler was playing Call of Duty. Now, I've come across this article that says 2 months of daily GTA causes no significant changes in behavior. According to the article by Kyle Orland in Ars Technica, it says the following: a new longer-term study of video game play from the Max Planck Institute for Human Development and Germany's University Clinic Hamburg-Eppendorf, recently published in Molecular Psychiatry, found that adults showed no significant changes on a wide variety of behavioral measures after 2 straight months of daily violent gameplay. Most scientific studies on the effects of video game violence measure participants right after the completion of a gameplay session, when adrenaline is prompted by the on-screen action is likely still pumping. Researcher Simone Kuhn and her co-authors argue that effects observed only for a few minutes after short sessions of video gaming are not representative of what society at large is actually interested in, namely how habitual violent video gameplay affects behavior on a more long-term basis. To correct for the priming effects inherent in these other studies, researchers had 90 adult participants play either Grand Theft Auto 5 or The Sims 3 for at least 30 minutes every day over 8 weeks. A control group played no games during the testing period. The adults chosen, who ranged from 18 to 45 years old, reported little to no video gameplay in the previous 6 months and were screened for pre-existing psychological problems before the tests. Now, Anita Sarkeesian claimed in tweets that video games can cause a person to become sexist just for saying "aving a woman." Not true. I've played a lot of video games and that has nothing to do with how I treat women. My mother taught me to respect women and girls when I was growing up, to respect them the same as males, and that's exactly what I do. I don't value one gender over the other like many tend to do. In the first season of my web series, I debunked the claims of Anita that damsels in distress are male-gaze trophies by stating that these women in captivity are strong political figures that maintain the peace in the country, or the key to a great power that could change the world. Now, regarding politicians and lawmakers constantly using games as a scapegoat for every fracking time there is a mass shooting, I say this: whenever some kid shoots bullies in his school, the question is this: why did he do it? Was he being bullied or had psychological problems? It has to be one of the two, right? Now, let me ask you politicians, activists, and religious groups one question. Do you realize how much violence there was before video games ever existed? That's right. People have killed and died in the name of religion on this planet. People have killed and oppressed other nations before colonization times. And what video games they were playing? None at all. Also, was King Richard playing Assassin's Creed when he went to the Crusades? No. Was Adolf Hitler playing Call of Duty to inspire himself to kill all the Jews? No. Was John Gotti, one of the biggest mobsters in history, playing Grand Theft Auto? No. 19 years ago, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold shot 15 people at Columbine. The 2 of them were known to be fans of Doom, but was Doom their inspiration to kill all these people? Well, they created the Harris levels, and one of them say, "This is gonna be like effing Doom." but I doubt that these games had anything to do with the massacre. They were being bullied and Harris was on meds. 11 years ago, Sung Hui Cho killed 32 people and injured 25. Counter-Strike was blamed for it. He criticized rich kids, debauchery, and deceitful charlatans. Early media reports also speculated that he was obsessed with a fellow student called Emily Ilsher and became enraged after she rejected his romantic overtures. Also, Cho had anxiety disorder. Nearly 6 years ago, we had the shooting at Aurora during the premiere of The Dark Knight Rises, and they blamed games for that. James Egan Holmes was a perpetrator and killed 12 people, and he's now in prison. 5 months after that incident, Adam Lanza opened fire on Sandy Hook Elementary. He was mentally ill and they blamed the following games. Mortal Kombat, because he thought he was Stryker, Curtis Stryker. Mass Effect, because they thought he was Shepard, or he thought he was Shepard. Then the stupidity was bigger when they blamed Dynasty Warriors, a game which never had guns in it. And it was worse, blaming Dance Dance Revolution, another game without guns, and it's about dancing. Are you kidding me? The idiocy of these people. Aaron Alexis was the Navy Yard shooter who had a criminal history and killed 13 people, including himself. They blame Grand Theft Auto, let me guess, because he thought it was Nico Bellic or Carl Johnson, Tommy Vercetti, and fracking Michael Townley? The Pulse nightclub shooting was blamed on video games. No. Omar Mateen was driven by a misogynistic and homophobic ideology. Every time a mass shooting happens in this country, blame something that the killer was into instead of holding him accountable for his actions. This actually proves you still have idiots in control. All these politicians, religious leaders, and celebrities could have made a charity event after Parkland for the families of the victims that most likely could not afford this messed up funeral that they had for their kids. They could have done something like this, but they didn't. Instead, you wanted to talk about banning guns and blame something that the killer was into. If it isn't fracking music, if it isn't movies, if it isn't TV shows, if it isn't something they're reading, it's always something that they're fracking playing. This just pisses me off to my damn core. People should be held accountable for their own damned actions. Sorry if I sound so angry, but it does make me angry. Anyways, if you have something to say about this, to you who is watching, comment, subscribe, go for it. This is John, host of Video Games in the World. I'm out.